everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cosmic Conversations. I'm your host, Marla Martenson, and today I have a very special and magical guest. Her name is P.M.H Atwater, and she's one of the original researchers in the field of near-death studies. And she has this amazing new book called A Manual for Developing Humans. It has everything in here that we need. I can't wait to dive into it. She's written a lot of books, and we're going to find out all about her and her work. Welcome, PMH.
I'm so glad to be here. It's just an absolute thrill.
Thank you. We finally connected. It's interesting. We've had some snafus and wrong dates and all of that, but here we are, and I think it's divine timing. It's the right time.
Yes.
So tell us, first of all, for people who aren't familiar with you, it looks like everything has been brought together here in your books because of some near-death experiences that you had?
Yeah. I could say that.
Okay, can tell us about it, because this is what myself and my viewers are fascinated with. I want to hear about the NDEs.
Well, let me just sort of give you a primer.
All right.
In 1977, I died 3 times in 3 months. January 2nd, January 4, and March 29. Later that fall, I had 3 relapses. So 1977 wasn't really my year.
To say the least.
I look back at it and I call it the heavenly sledgehammer effect.
Oh.
You know, that doesn't tell you how stubborn I was before. Nothing will. You know, I had to go through it 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. My first one was primarily an out-of-body experience. The second one was far more complicated, lasted quite a while, and involved a lot. The third one, though, was the most impactful for me, because I wound up in a nothing kind of place after I floated free of my body. I say a nothing kind of place because it was like a void. It's kind of a dark, nothing. I mean, there was nothing there. No sound, no color, no life, nothing. Yet there was the presence of all life, all color, all sound. It's as if everything that had ever existed was there. Everything that exists now is there. Everything that will exist in the future is there. It's all there. It's like a kind of now place. And the only thing, there was one thing there though, and I stumble all over myself in trying to describe it, because it was the presence of shimmer. And I would compare shimmer to that, you know, when you're making a Jell-O dish and you've got it out of the mold and you put it on the plate and you're taking your finger and you're just about ready to touch that Jell-O and you're almost touching it, and there's that presence of shimmer. It's like things start to shimmer. You haven't touched it, but you've got that shimmer.
Yeah.
Well, the place is full of it. I called it the void, and it's just pregnant with everything. You know, it's a presence of shimmer, and my being there elicited all kinds of things that happened, and later on, a voice spoke. It's just above and beyond the void, above and beyond any kind of out-of-body experience, above and beyond any kind of otherworldly experience, any angel, any, my second one, I greeted Jesus, even beyond that, beyond anything you can think of. And my third one, this voice spoke.
What did it say?
It just... I mean, it was so big and so loud and so, it's like the universe speaking to me. And the voice said, and I quote, "Test revelation. You are to do the research. 1 book for each death." I was shown what that meant.
Okay.
And then book one was not named. I have no idea what that was. Might have been Coming Back to Life, my first major book. I don't know. The second one is Future Memory. Future Memory is not a regular book. It's a labyrinth. And that voice showed me how to put it together. Every sentence, every paragraph, every page is part of the math I used to create the labyrinth. It is a real labyrinth. You read through it like you walk through a sight labyrinth. And the purpose of the book is to bring your consciousness up to the next highest level possible for you. Okay. So the book is a brain changer. It's like a psychotronic device. And the third book was, you are holding it, a manual for developing humans. That was the third one. And it's like Future Memory consisted of the why and what of the universe. And who we are as human beings, what the universe is, how it works, how bodies work. It's really kind of the what and why of everything. But a manual for developing humans is the how. It gives you the how. How can we be here? I mean, what is it that a human being is? And when I revived and, going through all this stuff, and, most people seem to forget that near-death experiences involve violence or trauma. So afterward, you're rebuilding a body. And I had to relearn how to crawl, how to stand, how to walk, how to run, how to climb stairs, the difference between left and right, see properly, hear properly, and rebuild all my belief systems.
Were you in an auto accident or a plane crash?
No,
or what happened?
It was miscarriage. I was raped.
Oh.
I became pregnant and miscarried. And then a whole bunch of stuff.
So you were raped, became pregnant from the rape, and then okay. Oh.
Yeah, it just went on and on and on. After all of that, the year after all of that, I began to feel like a human being again. I began to realize I am a human being, that I can walk and talk like everybody else. And I promptly left my home in Boise, Idaho.
Okay.
I'm an Idahoan, a Western woman. And I immigrated east. My family's still never forgiven me. No Westerner goes east.
No.
You go further west, but you don't go east. So I wound up in Virginia. And that's where I began my research.
Okay.
My research now is well over 4,000 adult and child experiencers. Written a lot of books on what I found.
So you're like the female Raymond Moody.
Yes.
Yeah. When you had crossed over, so before this, what were you doing? Did you have, and did this open up? Okay.
I was on my way to be a bank manager.
Okay.
I was taking classes at the American Banking Institute, and I had decided to become a bank manager.
Okay.
Before that, I was very deeply involved with metaphysics, the spiritual path, psychic phenomena, all that kind of thing.
Okay.
To the extent that I started Idaho's first nonprofit metaphysical corporation by the name of Inner Forum. We were having experiments and classes and workshops and talks every month, maybe more often than that, maybe even every week or every other week, for years, and involved easily 3,000 people or more. For some reason, I never did anything small.
Right.
I always had to test everything out. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do psychometry. Can you? And can you? And what age? Does it make any difference? Does it make any difference to race or ethnicity or what part of the world? So I was always testing things. So I guess it makes sense that after I died and came back, I would start testing things again. Only this time I was testing death instead of testing life.
Now, when you went over there, did you see Angels, did you see any loved ones at any point? Did you?
Loved ones in my second one, yes.
Okay.
My loved ones who died and gone on before, including a father, a grandfather I had never heard of. There would have been no way for me to have known him.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to me and introduced himself.
Uh-huh.
And about 6 years later, I did some research on that state that he was from, and found him, and discovered that he really looked like what I saw in my experience. That really was him.
Right.
That was no joke. I saw Jesus in my second experience.
Uh-huh.
Then there was no need to worship him. It's like my elder brother,
Mm-hmm.
and there was just so much joy and hugging and laughing. It was just, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Oh.
Angels, no, never saw any angels,
Angels.
but had a lot of interplay with the universe itself.
Okay.
And what makes things work, what makes things tick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think an angel would have satisfied me.
Okay.
I'm just one of those people that I've got to know, okay, here you are, that's fine. Where did you come from?
Mm-hmm.
And what is it like there?
Yeah.
And how does that work? So I'm one of those.
And so after that, after these experiences, you come back now. Do you still have that connection to be downloading information and finding out things? Are you psychic? What changed metaphysically and spiritually and psychically, etc., for you after?
Before, I was very spiritual, very much, very psychic. Yeah, I could do all those things.
Okay, you were already.
Yes, with other people.
Okay.
Yes. And you know, Marla, I'd reached a place in my life where the saying is, when the student is ready, a teacher will come.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting a person.
Right.
Heaven's dead. So I really had to relearn everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything before was wiped away. Just absolutely wiped away. I had to begin again by crawling.
Mm-hmm.
I began from the very bottom.
Yeah.
You know, I'd been an astrologer before. I had to relearn astrology. Been a meditator before. I had to relearn meditation. I you know, and raised 3 kids. I had to relearn home economics.
Okay. Oh, so you had 3 children at this time when this happened to you.
Yes.
Very difficult.
It was so extreme
Mm-hmm.
that I sent off to all the major makers of pots and pans, got their metallurgical reports and their manufacturing specs, took them to a local lab, had them tested, and then only would I decide what pots and pans I would use. Oh. So I re-identified soap, I re-identified sheets, clothes, mother-daughter, son relationships. I had to re-identify everything, including eating, mm-hmm. including cooking, mm-hmm. everything. Mm-hmm. I began life again from scratch.
So, some of the things from your book, so I just want to talk about a few things. So you talk about heaven and hell. There's layers of varied vibrational folds that are stacked like a layer cake. So are you talking about like some of the dimensions and things?
You know, with all of the people that I've interviewed, and I'm an old-time researcher. That is to say, I'm there. I'm a cop's kid. I was raised in a police station. So my interviews are not really interviews. They're observations as well. I'm there with the person, not using questionnaires. I'm there. I'm watching. Not only just talking to them, but I'm watching. My dad always said, the body says more than the mouth does. Mm-hmm. And that's very true. So you're watching the individual and what they're doing with their body. And as much as I could, I would get in with their families, the significant others, and I would have sessions with them. Mm-hmm. You know, in your opinion, what is, how is this individual changed? So from this mass of information, then I wrote these books about my findings.
Okay.
And yeah.
So you're writing these books about different subjects because you've got a lot of different subjects in here. So it's from your findings from people who have had near-death experiences, and you've kind of compiled that, and that's what you're sharing.
And I'm also looking for after effects, because the pattern of after effects tells you more than the experience does. It's a pattern of physiological and psychological after effects, and it's that pattern that to me is just so dynamic and really shows you what's going on with the individual. It's not so much that they become a medium afterward, or they become a psychic afterward, or they're getting downloads from angels or archangels or all kinds of beings. Yeah. It's a matter of what is that doing to them? What is their life like? Okay. How are they able to live? What are their relationships like? What if they're married and have kids? How what is it like with their children? So I'm very thorough. I get, I dig deep. So most of my books are about that, but I'll tell you, Future Memory, and especially A Manual for Developing Humans, very, very different. Totally different. I'm not the researcher then.
Right.
That voice came back, and it doesn't talk in the sense of words. What it does is sort of like, it's near me, and it sort of shoves a little bit, or maybe it just overwhelms, or it just sort of nudges.
Okay.
So it's a very different kind of interaction.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say, in writing the book, A Manual for Developing Humans, I had no idea what to do. I didn't do the format. I mean, it's a fifth dimensional format. The whole thing is divided into six sections, and each part is divided into intellect, intuition, and knowing. Everything is conscious, subconscious, superconscious. So you get the whole package all at once.
Something that was fascinating to me was the death flash, light flash. And you talked about that flash when we're conceived and the flash of light when we leave the body. And
absolutely. And that has been verified in science.
Okay.
It's been verified in science.
Well,
with flowers, with animals, with people, if they die, there is a light flash. When they're born, when they come in, there's another flash. So for me, finding that out was just, and I can see it.
Okay.
But I'd like to, verify things. So I can see it, but I want to know, can other people see it? And yes.
So when you see it, you're with a person who's dying. You go to their deathbeds a lot of times. Is that what you're doing? Then you can see that.
You could do that. Yes, I did that sometimes. Yes. But for me, just walking through a given area, I can see lights go off and on, and I'll check to see why.
Yeah, what's going on?
There's light. A light goes out. Okay. Why? Well, someone died.
Oh.
And to me, it's just like it's enchanting. It's magnificent. It gives you such a thrill to know how interconnected we are, how this world works. It's just thrilling.
So you're walking along and you can see some lights flashing, and that could be people that aren't even in your physical space coming in and going out.
I don't see it so much in the daytime, but yes, I can.
Okay.
But especially in the evening,
Oh,
the
yeah.
lights begin to dim,
Uh-huh.
and especially in meditation, I'll take a look at the world
Yeah.
or take a look at my neighborhood,
Okay.
see what's going on. Yeah.
Well, okay, now this was fascinating. You wrote about the Shroud of Turin, which I think is so fascinating because there's that speculation, is it authentic, is it not, is it really Jesus? And then that you thought or you researched that the way you think that image was imprinted on the cloth was from that flash of light.
Yes.
But now
Flash.
wouldn't have he have already been dead and that flash happened and then they took him off the cross and then put that shroud? So how could that flash happen in the
That
shroud?
flash imprinted the shroud.
Right. But wasn't
So
he
no
already
matter what happens to the shroud,
right?
it's imprinted.
But I'm saying, wouldn't he already have been dead and then they carry him somewhere and then put that shroud on? So how did the flash happen?
Photosynthesis. Just
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
And so that pattern still remains.
Uh-huh.
Where it's kept in Italy. That
Right.
pattern is still on the shroud and always will be there because it was sort of burned in. Um, and I would imagine because of his energy being so powerful,
Right.
you get an extra.
Extra.
That print
Uh-huh.
will be there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And,
fascinating.
and the fact that we are all that, we
Mm-hmm.
are that light. When we come in,
Mm-hmm.
there's that sense of light.
Yep.
When we go out, you see the light stop. Certainly the eyelids close.
Mm-hmm.
All that's happening to the human body begins to occur, but that light is gone.
Mm-hmm.
When the light is gone, they're no longer there.
Right.
And one of the interesting things about the death process
Okay.
is usually maybe 3 days before, maybe 3 hours before, usually in threes, but just before the person dies, it's like they wake up
Mm-hmm.
and they're very lucid
Mm-hmm.
and the light is there. And everyone I've ever spoken to, which, we're talking thousands of people here, say once they're dead, really, really gone, there is no light.
Mm-hmm.
So we are light beings.
Yeah.
We're truly light beings. All of us are.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right, so now I want to talk about Kundalini because you've got that in there. And you say, let's see, I said Kundalini is something that you don't fool around with. And I've read a lot about it. No, it can be dangerous, right? But we want to.
It can put you in a psychiatric hospital. Many people have a spontaneous Kundalini breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them get by with it, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them become very frightened
Mm-hmm.
or very confused because there'll be all kinds of lights going off and on. There'll be streaks of light. There'll be all kinds of these little circles and balls of light all over everywhere. They're thinking differently. They're wondering what's happened to their mind.
Mm-hmm.
They have all these kinds of different responses, and they're not knowing why. Why is this happening to me? I had someone just get a hold of me recently with email, and she was talking about all the light effects that were going on for her day and night. She didn't want to hardly eat anymore. She was seeing different kinds of programs or activities or beings all over the ceiling or around her room. And she felt like she was going mad, like she was going crazy. So I talked her down, that is to say, what were you doing? What were you reading? What were you practicing?
Right.
And she told me. And then I was able to say, okay, this is what you do now.
Okay.
And among the things you do now is you get a lot of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
You eat a lot of grounding foods.
Right.
And you, if you can, get a hold of someone who teaches meditation or someone who teaches out-of-body experiences and have them help you ground yourself. But the grounding is very, very important.
Okay.
Got to get back to Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in it seems like so many of us want to have that Kundalini experience. What are the benefits? What would you say the benefits are of it if we do open that up, unleash it?
Well, you get a lot more energy.
Okay.
I've had 3 Kundalini breakthroughs, but I was in training. That is to say, yoga training.
Okay.
So I was familiar with what can happen. But when it happens to you, it's always, it's always a surprise because you never know when and what it will be like for you.
Right.
But for me, it was, there's certainly this rush of energy up through the top of the head and beyond, filling up the body. It's like all of your centers just light up. You're like a Roman candle, or at least I was. And incredible energy. Suddenly I'm knowing all kinds of things about the universe, people, how things come together. And it was exciting. It was kind of frightening because I wasn't sure when it was going to stop. It's fine to have this blow up, but when is it going to stop? And how is it going to stop? And how can I handle myself? But for me, I had people I could talk to and go to and say, what happens next? How can I train this?
Right.
Right away, you're putting on a lot of vegetables, fresh air exercises, concentration, or different kinds of exercises where you can begin to feel it in a controlled manner, that you're not at the behest of this gush of energy, but rather you're a trainer. And you can begin to bring it into where it becomes a source of energy that you can control to a point and be able then to direct that kind of energy. Do you want to learn? Do you want to become a healer? You want to open even more? What do you want to do with this? I chose to use it to become more of who and what I was, to learn more, to be stronger, to be more energetic, to be more able to get in and out of different dimensions quickly. So for me, it became a very handy tool.
Did you have this? Did you have your Kundalini awakening before your near-death experiences? Okay, before.
I had so much energy that I was like a nuclear reactor. And that continued nonstop until April of this year, when a manual for developing humans came out. I saw it in my hands. And my mission was over. Completing that manual ended my mission, and within 10 minutes, that nuclear energy that I was given at death, 10 minutes it disappeared. I could feel it leave. I could smell it leave. It had an odor. I could smell it leave. And it's gone. And now I have a softer, slower energy. Yes, I'm still, there's 4 more books I want to write, but I'm doing it because of my choice. Not because that was my mission, not because I had to do it. because I was directed or shoved or pushed into doing it.
Right.
No, I can do it now because I want to.
Kind of like, what do you know about walk-ins?
I know a lot about walk-ins. I challenge the theory.
Okay.
And I've written a lot about walk-ins. Some people, I think, truly are a different soul in the same body. But in most cases, what they describe as a walk-in and how they describe that walk-in and how that walk-in feels afterward is identically the same after effects of a typical near-death experience. I really challenge that that's a different soul. Rather, what I think is happening is the soul enlarges. We become more of who we are. We become more of our soul. So I've
maybe
written a
more
lot.
of it comes down because I've heard that only a sliver of us is really in the body, and the rest of us, our higher self, the rest of our soul is still on the other side, and maybe more of that
You
comes
could look
down
at it
in.
that way.
Maybe
You
more of
could
it.
look at it that way.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of a manual for developing humans, is to help you be more of who you are.
Yeah.
You know, the greatest injunction in all spirituality is know thyself. That's where it all begins, is self. And that's what the manual is for. It's filled with easy, fun exercises, all kinds of ways where we can know thyself, be thyself, love thyself. It's the greatest protection you have, is to know yourself.
Right.
So when I say that's the most important book I've ever written, I'm not kidding. I want to get this out globally because we've got a lot of rough things coming up in this world, a lot of rough things right now. If you know yourself, if you are in touch with yourself and who you are, how you work, what you are, then you can handle all of this stuff. You'll be directed. You have a feeling. You'll be able to handle all of this stuff.
I remember one night I was laying in bed and my eyes were closed and I saw clearly a word on the top of the ceiling written. I can't remember what it was now. And I was like, well, oh my God. And because I've been working on the third eye. And since I've been working on the third eye now, if it's dark at night, out of the right eye, side of the right eye, I have a flash of light, shard of light. And that's been happening since maybe February, March now. What would you do?
You get it out of the side of your eye.
The side of this eye, yeah. At night it's dark. Yeah. I turn and I see a flash of a shard of light. Always, since like almost a year now, maybe 8-9 months. Yeah. And what do you think that is? Is it the third eye opening? Do you think?
I don't know that it's just the third eye, but it tells me that your soul, your spirit, is beginning to. What should I say? Being invited into you. You're being able to display and live more of what you are. Oh. And yes, you're developing all the centers.
Okay.
Which indeed the third eye is part of that. You're developing all the chakras. When we do that kind of thing, then we recognize out of the corner of our eyes the light, movement, beings, all kinds of things happening. It's never frontal when you're just starting. It's always on the side.
Yeah. And then, okay, listen to this one. So sometimes I'll be sleeping and then I'll see, my eyes are closed and I'll see somebody like a man standing there at the edge of my bed, or one time I was sleeping on the couch, there was somebody right there, and I opened my eye, I screamed, I woke up screaming and opened my eyes and there's no one there. So maybe through my third eye I'm seeing my guide, maybe my spirit guide standing there, or
all kinds of beings.
Right, they're there, right? They're there. So
invitation. When you develop that, that's an invitation for all kinds of things.
Right.
and to calm.
Uh-huh.
So always remember to pray.
Yep.
And protect yourself
Yeah.
so that you're not getting the kind of beings you don't want to see.
I always call in Archangel Michael to protect the space, to protect my room. Even if I go out of town, protect the house, you know.
Make sure you're protected. You betcha.
Yeah, and wear the black tourmaline. I like that.
Well, tourmaline is just a wonderful stone, period.
Right. I have it all over, next to my computer, next to my TV. I usually wear a piece. Today I'm wearing moldavite.
Oh, I can't.
Oh, really?
My husband loves moldavite. I can't hardly touch it. It bites me.
Wow. You know, and people told me that you have to be careful because it's such a powerful. I don't feel anything with it. I don't feel it.
My husband is like you.
Mm-hmm.
He likes it very much. He does very well with moldavite.
Yeah.
But to me, it bites.
Interesting.
It's not my kind of energy.
Right, right. What is your favorite stone? What do you like to work with?
I love Bruno Jasper. Almost like butterscotch.
Oh,
kind of an orangey brown, and it has clouds in it. That form and move all over everywhere. Beautiful clouds upon clouds upon clouds that come from Bruno Jasper. It's no other Jasper is like it.
I'm going to look it up. My ex-husband name is Bruno, so I won't forget that one.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So PMH, thank you so much for spending this time with us. You guys, the book is A Manual for Developing Humans. The links are below. Please let us know in the comments if you had a near-death experience. What's your favorite stone? Have you had a Kundalini awakening? What are your experiences? We want to hear about it. And
my website, www.PMHAtwater.com.
The links are below for it.
It's a free monthly newsletter. So
yes. So sign up for her newsletter. That's what I'm going to go do now. And thank you so much. And